Fat Man Collectibles. What's going on, everybody? Eric Schofield Jr. here, and you're tuned into another episode of Fat Man Collectibles here on YouTube. I got another book review for you today. I just finished reading Revan by Drew. I think it's Karpyshyn is how you say it. And this is actually the first Legends novel, Star Wars Legends novel, that I have read to completion. I did start reading Bloodlines, but I never finished that book, and I actually ended up losing it. But this is the first book. I think there's 4 books in the Old Republic that they have based in the Old Republic. If you're new to the Star Wars novels and you don't understand what the Legends novels are, is basically after Disney took over all the properties of Star Wars, what they did for all the novels that existed already, they put the Legends stamp on them and basically made them not canon anymore. So they became expanded universe stories, or just elseworld stories, as you would say. Some of them have been brought into canon, some of them have not. And then a couple years ago, they started releasing them with these new paperbacks. Then they say the Essential Legends collection on them. So I want to give you my quick little overview. I did take notes. I took some notes because I don't want it to sound jumbled and all over the place. Hopefully me doing the notes will help keep it kind of uniformed, I guess you can say. All right, so the book Revan, it takes place 2 years after the Knights of the Old Republic video games. And I never played those games. So if you never played those games, it's okay, because I feel like they do a really good job at explaining everything that happened, or kind of giving you an idea of what happened throughout the book. Kind of, characters talking to each other about what happened, and old stories and flashbacks and everything like that. So I feel like you can have a really good idea of what's going on without having to play the games, so you won't be too lost. So this book takes place about, I think it's like 3,900 years before episode 4. So this takes place long time ago. So the characters of this book, there's a few characters in this book that you get introduced to, but the 2 main characters the book follows is, you follow Revan, who, if you never heard that name before, he's basically a Jedi turned Sith turned Jedi again. Very powerful, kind of like a dark Jedi. It's kind of how I read it. And then you the other main character that you follow is Sith Lord named Scourge, which he actually ended up being my favorite character throughout the book. So the book opens up, you're introduced to Revan is it the prologue? It's the prologue. You introduce to Revan in the prologue, and you're introduced to him and his wife, and he wakes up, he's having these nightmares, and these nightmares have been bothering him for a few days, and his wife kind of gives him advice, and kind of gives him the idea to go talk to the Jedi Council about it, to see what's going on with his visions. Like, that's not everything that happened in the chapter. That's just kind of my quick little overview of it. But what happened after he got redeemed by the Jedi from being a Sith is he lost a lot of his memories. So he doesn't know if the dreams that he's having has a lot to do with his memories trying to come back, or He's just really trying to fill in the pieces and kind of trying to find out what's going on. And then in the first chapter, you're introduced to this Sith Lord named Scourge. And he's showing up to the planet Droman Kos, which is the planet where the Sith has taken refuge, because according to the book, the Jedi believe that the Sith have been extinct for like 1,000 years. And so the Sith, when they went into hiding, as you can say, they got on this planet named Droman Kos, and that's kind of where all their headquarters and everything like that are. So he's hired by one of the members of the Dark Council, Darth Nihilus. So this takes place during Lord Vitiate's reign as the Emperor of the Sith Empire. And the way things worked when he was in charge is you had the Dark Council, which was basically like the Jedi Council, and then then you had Sith Lords, which were basically, I guess you could say, they kind of seem like they're like Jedi Knights in a way. So Scourge is a Sith Lord, and he's one of his reputation's growing big, and he believes that he's here because he's been hired by Darth Nihilus to head her security, because she's had some attempts on her life. So he believes that he's there to get to the bottom of things, what's going on, and kind of lead everything. But as it goes on, he finds out that it's not 100% the case, that he was hired by the Empire without Darth Nihilus's approval. So, so that's pretty much how you're introduced to the two characters. And so there's two parts of the book. In the first part of the book, you're kind of following two separate storylines, and then towards the end of the first part, you kind of start seeing how the two stories are going to be intertwined and meshed together. And then the whole second part of the book is when the two stories are meshed together. There is like a 3-year time jump between the two parts. I don't want to give too much of it away, because I don't want to give too many details away, because I really, this is a really good read, and I think you really should check out this book and read it. So that's Scourge's main goal during the whole first part of the book, is what I said about dealing with Darth Nihilus and trying to find out about the assassination attempts and everything. Revan's main thing with the first part is he's friends with the Mandalorian. Gosh, I should have wrote his name down. I forgot his name, but he's friends with him, and he fought with him in the war. And they keep referring to this war that happened, I think they said it was like 5 years ago, where basically Revan and Darth Malak fought the Mandalorians, and pretty much took down the Mandalorians and made them all scatter and disappear. And so the Mandalorians are looking for that. They don't have a leader, because Revan killed the Mandalore, and the Mandalore is the person who rules the Mandalorians, and who's in charge of the Mandalorians. And back in this time, whoever has the mask of the Mandalore is in charge. But so since Revan killed him and no one knows where his body is, they don't have the mask, so they're looking. So the main goal is for them to locate it and find the mask. So Revan wants to help them find the mask to help restore, I guess, order to the Mandalorians, I guess you could say. And I think that whole sequence of the book is just amazing. Revan dealing with the Mandalorians and everything. But I really found myself looking forward to Lord Scourge's parts of the book, because it really, his whole storyline really gives you an insight on the Sith Empire and how the Sith Empire operated back then, and what it really meant to be a warrior in the Empire, to be a Sith Lord. And I think the action sequences in this book are phenomenal. And I'm just gonna sit here and tell you guys right now, I'd be lying if I told you that I read most of this book. Be honest with you, I'd say about 90% of it was listened to on the audiobook, which is phenomenal, by the way. This is the first Star Wars audiobook I've ever listened to. If they're all like this, I think the guy that does the narration, phenomenal. It has sound effects. If you're not too big on like reading physical books, but you're into audiobooks, I recommend the audiobook on this 100%. My overall rating, I recommend this book hands down. My overall rating was a 4. If I had to rate the audiobook by itself, I'd give it a 5. But I give the book a 4. And this is my first Legends novel that I've read. And I think just with the way that Disney's in shambles right now, with everything that's going on with Star Wars, to read something like this that was published, when was it published? 2011. So 2011, that's, gosh, I want to say that's like either 2 or 3 years before Lucas sold Star Wars to Disney. I want to say he sold Star Wars to Disney, and it was like 2013, I want to say. So it's a couple years before Disney took over. But to read something like this, for me, just the way Star Wars has been in shambles, it's been a breath of fresh air. I recommend this book. I know there's 4 books in this series, and the second book in the series is Deceived, which follows Darth Malgus, and that takes place like, I think it's like 200 years after this book takes place. So that's what I said. I don't want to give a lot of details about the book, but I'm like ranting and raving telling you how good I think the book is, because it's not a small book. It's a little over 300 pages. So I'm holding the physical book right here. This is the regular paperback. The regular paperback is 317 pages. So that's not a very long book at all. I don't want to give it away, because I really do think that if you're even semi-interested in a Star Wars novel, this is a good one to read. This isn't my first Star Wars book that I've read. I want to make that clear. This is my first Legends novel that I've read. So I want to read the other 3 in this series, especially with the audiobooks. It's easier for me to do that at work during the day. And then after I finish this series, and I want to read like the Darth Bane trilogy, the Thrawn trilogy, and I'm really going to start diving into these Legends novels, because this isn't even like top 5 on anyone's list as far as Legend novel goes. So if I enjoyed this much, I can only imagine how I'm going to enjoy all the other ones. So again, those are my thoughts on Revan by Drew Karpyshyn. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Drew Karpyshyn. I recommend 4 stars. Go check it out. As always, if you stuck around this long, thank you. I appreciate it. And as always, I will see you in the next video.